I'm going to take here after a little bit of a break from the channel. Took a couple weeks off to do other things, and wanted to come back with a mod video, kind of a mod spotlight, in which I took one of these Frantic Furies, which those of you who really remember the channel, if you hang around here for quite a while, this is one of the few Busby blasters that I gave a do not recommend rating on. It was kind of neat, you know, in concept, as in a extendable stock, full-size, pump-action, mag-fed Springer that you could get for about $20. You know, it's Adventure Force, made by Busby. But, as you can hear, that creaking is hard to get over. And even my mod, I didn't solve that. And of course, the stock itself, this one's pretty good, as far as the fact that most of them, if you bumped it, it would collapse. This one's pretty good. It's surviving that. But it can wag its dog. It can wag its tail like a dog. But it was supposed to be a kind of primary level blaster, taking mags. It came with a lot of accessories. It was actually kind of a neat package and overall idea. But the first example was not optimal. They did come out with a new version, which I have here as well. I know me, I collect everything Busby. This fixed most of the problems. It was a significant upgrade. But how about any of us who bought the original? This one's, as we call it, the Mellow Yellow, or whichever brand you like to use for soda, but it's the Mellow Yellow version. And it is significantly better. Creaking went away mostly, and this actually hit about 73 or 74 feet per second, whereas the original only hit like 62, if I remember right. I have to go check my own video for that. But the original one only hit in about the low to mid 60s, which is very uncharacteristic. Busby normally hits around 80 feet per second in all their normal primary size blasters. But I took one of the old ones and I set about to make it look better, and personal taste, I think mission accomplished. I wanted to keep the same stock, but what I did was I opened it up, because it is screwed together. It's two halves, and that was part of the whole flexing issue, is that it didn't have a good contact point to the blaster shell itself. It only had a small catch point, kind of, and then it extended out, got smaller and extended out. So, you know, structural rigidity, the bigger the piece, the more rigid it typically is. In this case, it got smaller. Not a good design in my eyes. And the fact that this one, I picked this one up. The other one I thrifted. This one was my actual original test unit. And after short use, it was collapsing. So I just took it apart and basically mixed up some epoxy, dumped it in. So it's very rear heavy now. And that's okay. It feels like it's got some weight to it. And that's actually a good thing in my eyes, because now it feels solid. And you can really put some pressure into it. Still has some creaking. I wasn't able to solve that entirely, but you can feel it, or you can hear. It feels better in the hand, but you can hear it, that it's nowhere near as bad. It's much better. But I didn't solve it entirely. But I did do a multicolor Hydro Dip. As you can see, this side's a little bit brighter. This side's a bit more distinctive, with the waves and streaks of color through it. And it is Mongoose Team colors, which I've adopted for my own, because that's where my whole username, channel name came from, was the fact that I used to race Mongoose mountain bikes. So this is a personal blaster from me, and not only did I do the Hydro Dip, but kind of keen eyes would have noticed there is a mag adapter. This one is set up to specifically run half-length darts. That is a Dart Zone Pro mag adapter, and it can be removed, but I'm going to permanently leave it in, because it also acts as a brace to the priming bar. Because if you're going to mod a Frantic Fury, the priming bar is one of the weak points. This one, the priming bar will flex outward into the shell. Actually, if you've got it primed and you try to fit a magazine up in it, it'll jam against the magazine, because the priming bar is really weak. So you'd have to figure out like a metal reinforcing bar for it, or just go all in, replace it. But You can also just simply use a mag adapter as a guide. It'll keep the priming bar pushed, sandwiched kind of in between the mag adapter, which is pretty durable. And Dart Zone sells these, so you can get extras. That's how I have extras. You can use the mag adapter to act as kind of a guide, so the priming bar can slide and push against it. The mag adapter's sturdy enough. It'll keep the priming bar in place, and I would never ever recommend above an 8 kilogram for a Frantic Fury. It's just a kind of a hard limit. You go above that, you're probably going to break the priming bar. I am running an 8 kilogram turf blaster, which is personal choice. I've got a few of them here hanging up on a hook that I use for my own personal mods. Orange Mod Works, Worker, and Turf Blaster, pretty much what I use always. And it is a Retaliator size spring, so 8 kilogram Retaliator spring from Turf Blasters. And with that in here, it averages right around 150 feet per second. I just ran some more shots of the Chronograph, and I was getting 156.3 as an average. Last night, and the day before, when I was doing more testing, I was averaging about 149.6 by the end of it. But now I'm actually, the new seals I put in may be breaking in a little better. I did lubricate everything, and to get it broken in, maybe it might get a few more feet per second. That typically happens as you break in the seals and everything else. Now this is actually running one of the Foam Sport Sentinel breeches. If you look it up on Etsy, the Foam Sport Sentinel breech is a machined aluminum breech system with a machined aluminum pusher that has an O-ring on it, pushing into a machined aluminum breech that allows you to fit in 17/32 brass. I have a 4 1/4 inch 17/32 brass barrel, which is just perfect to be even with the front of this, so it's almost kind of a sleeper setup. From the side profile, you don't see that there is a brass barrel, which also this Frantic Fury shroud acts as a protector. So as long as I don't put a scar barrel on, which I absolutely will, a scar barrel will get this down to HVZ level performance, because it'll probably drop at 15-20 feet per second. But then I'd be at around about 130. And then I'd have a very accurate and very nice performing half-length HVZ blaster. As it is, it's right about 150 FPS sleeper blaster. And it's more my style, because it's my colors, my type of blaster, taking something that you wouldn't really expect to be modded real well, because most people just overlook the Frantic Fury after the initial bad release. But just so you can see, we'll set that off to the side. Inside there is, see if my camera will pick that up. There comes the aluminum pusher, and it does lock in with an O-ring seal, and actually had a decent seal there overall. So would I recommend this for you to do it? Modding is not something that you just say yes or no. This is not the blaster most people would want to mod. I mean, come on. Even if it was the better version, let's grab this without everything falling over. This is not something people are going to really readily want to mod. It was a subpar blaster at the time. But modding's not about that. You don't get into it and say for absolutes. Some people want to take something that wasn't optimal and make it their own. And that's all I wanted to do with this. Because I've got way more into this than you could easily just go grab any number of blasters off the shelf. You want 150 FPS half dart firing blaster? Well, the Nexus still is out there. And just the breech alone for this, which I did pay for with my own money, just the breech cost $60. Then add in the spring, add in the brass, add in my time and effort. And just the paint job alone, as you look and see, it is 2 coats or 3 coats of a white primer base, and you do the white primer to make the color pop out more. Dark primers will tone down your colors. White primers will make the color pop better. And I wanted it to be well, just like Mongoose Orange. I've worn the Mongoose team jerseys I still have. I've worn those, and it's, you know, not a dull orange, it's a bright orange, like this. Much like right towards the very front on either side. But with 3 coats of primer, then the Hydro Dip, and then 6 coats of clear coat over, you know, it's a lot of time spent. So time and money, no, it's not something you're going to say cost effective or time effective. It's, you do it because you want to. So if you wanted to, could you make a Frantic Fury something fun and usable? Sure, I did. But I've got way more into it than anybody would consider reasonable. But that's why I'm odd. I'm odd because I like it. Because this is mine. But hope you like this, and look forward to a lot more. Because modding was my roots, really, and I've kind of moved away from it on the channel a little too much. So, it's time to go back to having some fun, even if it is silly, and maybe if it doesn't make sense. But this is my Frantic Fury in Mongoose Team colors. 150 FPS half-dart firing blaster that now I have I've got about $80 into this thing. That's kind of crazy. But still, it was fun to do, and I love it. Hope you do as well. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.